County Connection, where we talk about programs, services, and events at Summit County government. I'm your host, Public Affairs Coordinator Julie Suter. We have a great show lined up for you today. We're going to be talking about workforce housing, Month of the Young Child, National Telecommunications Week, and National Public Health Week. And to kick off our first segment on workforce housing is I have Senior Planner Kate Berg from the Summit County Planning Department. Welcome, Kate.
Thanks, Julie. Glad to be here.
All right. So, Kate, Summit County recently launched a big master planning process for a large workforce housing project in Summit County. Tell us what's going on.
Yeah, it's a really exciting project. The county just bought a piece of land that's immediately adjacent to the town of Frisco. It's a 45-acre site. It's referred to as Lake Hill currently. And we just purchased it from the Forest Service, and we just kicked off a really exciting master planning effort to develop an overall plan for a new neighborhood on the property. So we're really excited about this project, and we are really eager to engage the entire community in this planning effort to make this a neighborhood that really reflects the overall needs of the community, and a neighborhood that the community can really take ownership of and be proud of, and that'll provide a great place for a lot of our locals and local members of our workforce to live, so they can stay in the community and continue to be part of everything that we have going on here in the county.
Excellent. And this couldn't happen at a better time, because lots of folks out in the community are really feeling the pinch when it comes to finding housing to either rent or to own.
Yes, I mean, I think we're just continuing to see that the challenges as far as providing housing that's attainable for our locals is just continuing to grow. You know, the problem is continuing to get worse and worse. Mm-hmm. So we're just really happy that we have had the opportunity to get this land from the Forest Service, and now we have a great opportunity to really plan something sizable on this property that can provide a lot of housing for people who do want to be able to live here.
Right. Okay, great. So this master planning process, I think it's really exciting to get the community's input and to really be thoughtful about how this project will serve this community for decades down the road. And so it's divided up into 3 phases. So why don't you tell us about how those 3 phases are broken up from
absolutely.
This process?
So the overall master planning effort is going to be approximately 6 to 7 months. We're trying to have a final plan completed by August or September of this year. And as you said, the process itself, the master planning process, is going to occur in 3 phases. And so the first phase, the phase that we're in right now, just kicked off March 1st, and it's going to be a 2-month-long phase, what we'll call phase 1. So all of March and April, we're in what we refer to as sort of our information gathering phase. And this is when we're really looking at the site, we're analyzing the site, and we're also taking a ton of input from all different members of the community, key stakeholders, the public at large, everybody who has different perspectives and different information as to, things that we need to be aware of as we start to think about moving into the design phase. And so we just kicked off phase 1, that's the phase we're in right now, and then we'll proceed in April into the conceptual design phase. And that's taking all the input from phase 1 and proceeding into the process of starting to put some ideas on paper, starting to develop conceptual design ideas.
And so when you say conceptual design, is that kind of the layout of the site, and do we get into some architecture at that point, or is that further down the line? Or
really what we're going to start looking at is creating a framework for the community, and really looking at what makes sense as far as the sort of the bones of the neighborhood that need to be designed first, and then you can kind of plug in some of those architectural details a little bit further down the line. But looking at where should we take access off of the Dillon Dam Road? What should the road network road network look like? What should the system of parks and open spaces be? And just sort of laying out the grid, laying out the overall framework for the neighborhood.
Okay.
And then getting into, looking at what types of housing are needed here, and where should the different types of housing be located? Where should we put our multifamily rental housing? Where should we put our lower density ownership housing? Kind of looking at the different neighborhoods and almost like sort of bubble plans, where you start to look at, okay, well, this type of a use makes sense in this part of the on this part of the property, and that type of a use makes sense over here, and this would be a logical place for a park, and starting to really kind of conceptually design the framework of the neighborhood. That happens during phase 2, which will be in April through June. So that's about a 3-month process. And then once we get some good conceptual design ideas down and we get input on that, we then move into phase 3, which is developing like a final plan, a final neighborhood concept that we can then move forward with into future phases, where we're actually rezoning the property and then proceeding with installing all the infrastructure and starting to actually build housing units.
All right. So you mentioned April is the information, we're in the information gathering phase, that phase 1. So what are all the ways in which you're going to solicit that public input?
So as I said, the process kicked off in March, and one of our biggest priorities is to engage the entire community. So we've got a few different means that we're using to do that. We have convened a stakeholder advisory group that has representatives from some of our key stakeholders in the community. The town of Frisco is a big partner of ours, as well as a variety of others. We've got about 10 people on our stakeholder group, and we're meeting with them regularly to help sort of guide the overall process and be a sounding board for us as we initiate different phases of the project. We've got the Housing Authority represented on that group, the town of Frisco. We've got representatives from our building community, design and architecture, as well as some of our other key stakeholders with businesses like Copper Mountain, who are also looking to provide housing for their employees. So we've got our stakeholder group. We're also going to be hosting a series of focus group meetings, which are one-time meetings that are used to convene a group of people around a particular topic, or to really gather a group of people that can provide input from a particular user group's perspective. So some of the focus group meetings that we're going to be having are on the topics of sustainability and energy efficient design. There's a large employers focus group where we bring all the large employers together. We're going to be having a focus group, 2 focus groups with residents. One with residents of existing workforce housing neighborhoods, which is kind of a lessons learned type of a meeting. What works well in your community, what doesn't, what would you recommend we do the same, what would you recommend we do differently, as well as a prospective future residents group. So we're trying to bring people to the table who are looking for housing in the county and really pick their brains on what are your priorities, what are you looking for in your housing, what are you looking for in a neighborhood, those types of things. We've also got focus groups on the topic of childcare, because we're going to be putting a lot of people on this property, a lot of permanent families trying to make a home here, and we're recognizing there may be some needs for support facilities like a child care center. So that type of outreach to more targeted groups, as well as general public outreach to the community at large through a series of open house events and other community meetings. Okay, so why don't you let folks know when and where is the first big public open house? Yep. So our first event that we encourage everyone to come to is an open house that's going to take place on Thursday evening, April 21st. It's at the Community and Senior Center in Frisco. It's going to be from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. And this is I think, one of the most important events to attend, because it's the very beginning of the process, and it's what I like to call the blank slate phase. So anybody who's interested in this project, now is the time to get involved. The purpose of this meeting is to really convene the community and have an opportunity to inform everybody about what it is we're trying to do here, educate everyone about the site itself, educate everyone about the master planning process that we've laid out, the overall project, the goals of the project, what we're trying to accomplish, the schedule, upcoming opportunities to be involved at these different phases when we start to really get into design, and then to solicit input that we can use as we start to think about getting into the design phase. This first meeting, we won't be putting up any conceptual design ideas. You won't come and see a site plan laid out with our thoughts.
So this is really like a true community brainstorm session.
It's a community brainstorm session. And really the idea is, okay, what do we as the county and as the design team need to be thinking about as we start to think about starting the design?
Okay.
And so, some of the things we're going to be soliciting input on, like some of the topic areas people will be asked to provide their thoughts on are, what are our priorities here for the types of housing that's needed? What are our biggest priorities? Rental housing, ownership housing. What styles of housing are we looking for? What are the highest priorities to include in a neighborhood as far as other types of support services and amenities, community gathering spaces, parks? Really there are no wrong answers. There are no bad ideas. We just want to know, if you had the opportunity to have a blank slate 45-acre piece of land right next to the town of Frisco,
right,
which we're fortunate enough to have.
Yeah, what a rare opportunity.
What are all the things that you would really want to see incorporated into this community, from the housing types to neighborhood amenities to, you name it. There are no bad answers at this point. We get as much input from the community as possible so we know, what are people thinking about? What are people wanting? And then we get to take all that input and proceed into the fun phase, which is, let's put some ideas on paper and start thinking about how we could actually realize this.
Sure.
And there will be future opportunities at open houses in June and further on into the summer for the public to then come to meetings where there will be conceptual ideas up on paper that they can look at and react to and say, yes, I like this, no, I don't like that. That will come later.
Okay, cool.
But this first meeting is the blank slate.
Okay, and again, that's Thursday, April 21st.
Yeah, Thursday, April 21st, 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. at the Community and Senior Center in Frisco. Okay. And it's an informal type of an event. It's a 2-hour
so people
block.
Don't need to show up right at the start.
It's an open house style. We will have different stations set up with display boards, with project information, different areas where we're soliciting input on different topics. There will be county staff members and members of our consultant design team on hand to talk with folks about the project, answer questions. People can write down their comments on boards, fill out comment cards, drop by anytime between 4:30 and 6:30, walk around, talk to us. It's very informal. There will be some light refreshments provided.
Excellent.
So just come and share your thoughts.
All right. Well, don't miss out on that. Mark your calendars, everybody. And for those of you who are going to be on spring break the week before, maybe mark your calendar twice so you don't forget after vacation. You definitely don't want to miss this. I've been to some of Kate's open houses in the past, and they're a good time.
Thanks, Julie.
All right, Kate, so for folks who are looking for more information on the project or some reminders on open house information, where can they find that?
We have a project website up on the county's webpage, and we have all the information on the project up there with key events, dates, milestones, things to know for your calendar for the next few months. And that website, that web address is summitcountyco.gov/Lake Hill.
Indeed.
Yes.
All right. Well, thanks so much for coming into the studio today, Kate, and we'll look
Thank
forward
you.
to seeing you later this month at the open house.
All right, thanks, Julie.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking about the Nurse Family Partnership Program in celebration of Month of the Young Child.